Well, what's going on, zombies? 3:18 in the afternoon, Pacific Standard Time. It is still the 27th of February 2023 that we were John C. Risman, California. Dealing with online social media people are still trying to tear apart theoretical news and stuff like that and telling people this is what you must listen for. Don't trust anybody. Don't trust. My channel only deals with. Hell. My channel only deals with grieving and mourning, but also I deal with other political situations if they open up. And sometimes I do have questions, and I question the validity of some of the people's information, especially when they say, "Don't trust him, trust me." I'm like, no, I'll trust what my gut tells me what the truth is. Overreacting concerning about the information coming out of China. Did they not cause the coronavirus? Now they're saying it's politics, it's this, it's that. Believe me, they caused it. They didn't cause it. We don't know who to believe and trust, but you gotta trust us, and that's what we don't know who to believe and trust, but you gotta listen to us. Because. Why? Because we're telling you the truth, which is, where's your honesty, where's your facts? You don't trust us? Not a damn thing. I don't. I hear some of the news, I actually see some of the local news, and they are covering local information that I can trust. The national chains, I know they got their own agenda. They do. Even on social media, they've got their own agenda going on. But I really don't need to listen to this shit, do I? But I choose to because I'm bored of shitless. Because sometimes local news will repeat the same thing. Sometimes add a little variety. But when they pick up on the major news stuff, I try to get different perspectives on what they're looking at. Where's the truth? Where's not the truth? But a lot of people are freaking. They're freaking. They're going crazy over things left and right. So, to me, it's all just a friggin' show. That's all it is. Watching more of the young Turks at this point. They are so against corporations. They're so against businesses these days. They want the businesses to pay fairly, and they also want to play fair. And they keep forgetting that we're living in a Republican democratic society here, a representative democracy. We must have had our problems when this country started up. We had to fight government, and we had a revolution for it. It took us years, a lot of lives, but we finally got it going. Not to mention, expanded the country, made deals with other countries, and invaded this place in the first place. And kept robbing the rich and stealing everybody. When we actually had the end of the Civil War, and we got the Articles of Confederations, they're trying to add more power to the local states and less for the federal. And therefore, the bankers and the creditors were getting more and more greedier and more powerful. Nobody could pay the damn debts, so everything else was confiscated. It had to take a federal government and a constitution of the United States to regulate and legislate. And also had to take lives lost. Never heard of Shays Rebellion? Look it up. Research it. So now we got a country that people don't like and respect at this point over here. And I'm thinking, Jesus, these people keep forgetting things come in cycles and waves. And they're belly aching left and right. Why am I not surprised? Our country is not the perfect country. What are they looking for? Perfection everywhere? Everybody follow the same damn thing? Everything's hunky-dory? Democracy is a messy state. People keep forgetting history. You can go to libraries and read from books. Social media, I don't know. If there are certain encyclopedias out there that still have correct information, fine. But I would prefer people getting information from the books that have already been published a long time ago. Maybe they would have some correct information. But the thing is, not one book would be perfect. You have to research multiple sources to get a generalized idea. Otherwise, you're stuck. Okay, the more and more I try to get into it, I know they're trying to get into uh, understanding and identifying the differences, but the thing is, what they're also trying to say is we're still the same. Why are we treating ourselves derided, divided, totally different, segregated? We're just one human race. There was some videos I tried to say something about that one. It was reported that Scott Adams was trying to say, the creator of Delbert, I think, he may or may not have been trying to say he wasn't racist. And how he was presenting it to people was a different story altogether. And I had said previously, I am racist because I'm a human racist. I'm human. I value my race, my race, which is the human race, regardless of what skin, religious beliefs we have, political scheme, controversial at best. Ideology is a different thing altogether. But am I going to be against people who are physically different? Am I going to be going against people who are thinking differently? Sometimes I wonder about this. And I don't know what the hell's going on anymore half the time. So, I'm still trying to understand some of these points of view. And they're very against, the Young Turks are very against corporate America. They're against businesses that own and control the media. Because they always have an agenda. Yes, they do have an agenda. That's national news. They always have an agenda. How to maneuver people's opinions one way or another. And they also do it through commercialism, through our products, through advertising, through everything else. I note this. I observe this. I'm saying this. We have a lot of things, a lot of people manipulating and cajoling us and pushing and prodding us into things. What we're going to like, what we're not going to like. We're going to deal with it, we're not going to deal with it. We have our own differences of opinions. We have our own likes and dislikes. But to say, as I'm going to say, and force my will one way or another against you, well, it's what we're running into these days, isn't it? And I just don't like dealing with that kind of crap. So, more on it. Okay. I know I got a critique on these guys because they're depressing the living crap out of me when I try to make a message of how bad things are, and they want to try to see if they're going to be helpful. The only news source at this point over here, they keep screwing it up left and right. They're talking about a new drug out there that I haven't even heard about, Trank, something like that. That's one name. Even worse than fentanyl. This stuff is cut with something. This is like an animal tranquilizer being cut into other things, and now it's even more deadlier. It's making people worse than angel dust. Remember that back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s? We had that kind of problem going on. They still have it. And because of that stuff, it's kicking everybody else's asses left and right. People are complaining about marijuana all the damn time for other generations. How bad the stuff was, how good the stuff is. Flip-flopping on that one, politics and social norms on that. Health concerns left and right. But when they got different, stronger chemicals out there, really forcing a person to go into it. For the people who are not suffering through it, who hadn't known anybody going through the drug issues, the books and pamphlets out there are not that up to speed. programs I came across were based from the old experiences and from last century dealing with chemical addiction, based off the 12-step principles of Alcoholics Anonymous. Part of these two people helped create it, and I'm staying away from the Young Turks right now. They're driving me nuts right now. Dr. Bob and Bill Wilson. In the 12-step community, these guys are the icons because they were one of the founding members of trying to get help for those who are suffering through it. I know they kept talking about the physical aspects of the chemical abuse, how the brain's pleasure center gets screwed up and fried out, and then the chemicals are craved more and more because our pleasure centers are fried out and our synapses are screwed up. But it goes more than that. It's not just a chemical, it's also the emotional and spiritual health. And that's also what the 12-step program's also focused on. And still do these days. And they get political in their views and ideologies and groups left and right. Gets everything screwed up. So when I'm hearing about the conversations that, well, they have to get help, they need this and they need that, I'm like, well, the addicts have to want the help. Sometimes they'll be getting into a drug that's going to kill them. But they have to be weaned off of the damn thing, and they also have to look at their life as being totally miserable. Otherwise, they're going to be stuck and they're going to die. Period. I've been to too many meetings, I've heard too many damn stories, and I've seen my brother the same damn way, and almost came damn close to it myself, not regarding drugs, but regarding alcoholism. And still, we call it the same damn disease anyway. Disease of the mind, body, and soul. Some programs out there actually treat just one or two of them, but not all three. And support groups. But then again, other people are fighting it left and right because they don't want it in their damn backyards. They see people out in the street, and you don't know whether or not they're going to be strung out on drugs or having emotional issues, financial issues, or God knows what else. See, I don't think we've ever had one particular generation or a decade or even a year where we actually had total bliss or no issues to deal with. We're the human race. We deal with our own constant battles, our own constant demons, inside and outside. In a democratic society such as ours, we deal with people's opinions on a constant basis at this point. We try to get consensus, the operative word being try. And we screw that thing up left and right. We screw ourselves up left and right. I'm hearing too many whining from the progressives saying it's everyone's fault. But the thing is, what they're not saying is accept responsibility, accountability, and transparency. It comes from the individual person. Stretched out to the groups, if they can actually agree with it, that, okay, we've got a problem. We accept transparency, accountability, and responsibility. What are we going to be doing at this point? Not finger pointing. But that's what I keep saying from all these things. Well, it's this, it's that, it's corporate media, it's this one. And on the Young Turks, there's always one headstrong lady who's also a journalist professor at a local university in the valley, San Fernando Valley. And then they had a gentleman who had been in the corporate media, and he can't stand the corporate media, and he's bad-mouthing him constantly. I guess he's got a bad taste of hating media left and right. Media sucks. Media sucks. They're not telling us accountable truth. We hold accountable truth. I mean, listen to us. Listen to us. Listen to us. I posed something in there, and they bypassed it entirely. A prism. You look at the truth. You either use a kaleidoscope or use a prism. If the truth is a white light, then the prism shows multicolors. multi-facets of it. Kaleidoscope, you can look at an object and see it in different colors and different patterns. Different viewpoints and different perspectives of the same item. Not one is perfect. Not one is the truth. But you're looking at the source of the thing, and it's what it is. Your own viewpoint, your own perspective, how you're looking at things is your own viewpoint. Now, you're going to be willing to share and force your viewpoint down people, that's your own thing. You're going to agree to disagree? Fine. You're going to agree because you actually do agree, that's fine too. Democracy is not the easiest damn government system to deal with. They say it's one of the weakest and poorest out there, and they are right in a way. Because authoritative, when you have one party, one rule, one ring, it rules them all with an iron fist. Is that the ultimate that we have to deal with as well? Then again, we look at heaven, the afterlife. How perfect and precious, we always have the impression on it because that's what we're taught to believe. And for those who have actually been up there and came back down, even within a short amount of time, and told us what was going on, write books about it, sell stuff on it. But in a way trying to educate us, this is how things are, what we perceive them to be. Okay, fine. But right now, after hearing some people just griping and grumbling, and sometimes it gets to me. I mean, I'll watch the other clips that they have on the Young Turks to see what they've got going. But certain topics, I just having a problem with. I'm not endorsing these guys, but I'm not condemning them either. I'm just commenting on it. That I can't deal with that shit. We got in our day and age right now. We got in our life right now what we have. We're looking at different things. We're looking at different viewpoints. We're trying to understand how life is right now. How we're going to be living it. We have other governments. We have other people trying to tell us one way or another. We have poets and writers expressing their outrage, their intense passion throughout the ages, all the way up to the current, to let us know this is our life, we still have to deal with it. Even musicians are the same way. But here's the thing. People are still asking, what's the right way, what's the right thing to believe in? You go with your gut. You go with your gut. I can hear a hell of a lot of opinions from other people at this point. Do I trust them? No. But somewhere in there, they got their own version of the kernel of truth in there. Maybe something I can get a total picture on. That's why I can't focus on just one item only in all the damn time. Either it gets boring or it gets stuck on stupid. And if it is stuck on stupid, I want to see someone else's opinion to see whether or not it was actually legitimate or not. We have to cross-reference all the time. Is this correct? Is that correct? What are we not looking at here? What's the whole picture? Okay, let's put it into a scientific situation, okay? A rocket launch. Maybe you can do a simple rocket launch or a complicated rocket launch. Let's go for something simple. Model rocketry. Something I know very little about, but I had a little bit of experience with the damn thing in the first place. Long time ago, plastic cone. Had a little notch in there underneath the plastic cone itself. Looks like a damn shell round. And it pulls out a parachute attached to the whole rocket. And once it's launched into the air, after a certain amount of fuel has already been used up, it starts falling out. The capsule pops open, and here comes the parachute, and it's floating down to Earth. You shove a solid rocket booster, you shove a wadding in there, You attach electrodes, hook it up to a pole. The guiding the guiding rod that forces your rocket to launch up. Not to mention you're hooking it up to a battery and a switch to give it juice to launch the rocket. Electricity through the conduits and through the connections would ignite the rocket fuel, the padding in there, the wadding, to make sure that the rocket is going up. I mean, the basic mechanics, I may have gotten this screwed up a little bit, but it goes up to a certain level and then uses up the fuel and then it goes down. And sometimes it goes a little stray because of wind factor. Model rocketry is a complicated science. It's complicated. I'm not going to go any further on that one there. But the basics are still the same even to the larger rockets that we have. And everything's complicated. Now, here's the thing. If you had cameras on all the sides of it, you're going to be capturing different viewpoints of the same item going up. And if something happened to it, say something got burned up inside and just forces the rocket to go up in flames, is one particular camera going to be able to capture it all? Or is there a complete story on how this whole process started? We're dealing with the truth. We're dealing with our own viewpoints because we're looking at different camera angles. We're looking at a different non-passionate lenses. But unfortunately, we add passion to it because we're putting our own slant into it. When we do that, we're not capturing the entire viewpoint. We're only looking at one. We're not looking at the entire picture. We can get a helicopter or a drone these days to hover over an item, get a complete picture of it if we're going to be launching another model rocket, and then have that follow the rocket with its camera, or if possible, cameras on the ground to photograph the entire moment of different viewpoints so we get an accurate picture of whether or not the rocket actually launched it correctly or not and what made it blow up. The thing of it is, when I keep hearing these people are talking about and making jokes about other people's viewpoints left and right, they don't trust. They don't know what to believe. This is corporate. That's this and this and this and this. And it doesn't matter which particular political side I'm hearing it from. It's still the same shit. It's the same shit. They'll use different words in the damn thing, but it's still the same thing. An event that happened in January 6th. A complicated, convoluted event, or several events happening at the same day, that people have been trying to get a handle on for a few years now, and it's still, some people actually said yes, and other people said no, and other people are still scratching their heads while being pissed off at the same time. Cameras were catching at different moments and different angles and different places of what was going on. People have their own viewpoints and their own stories of what happened to the entire action, the entire sequence of that day. And the consequences and the reverberations are still echoing to this time. A simple political transfer of power and acknowledgement that we've done for decades in every single voting selection of a president of the United States, verifying ballots, verifying states, verify, certifying. A simple process. Blown to hell. Blown to hell. That's the only thing I'm going to say to it. Too many viewpoints, too many pictures of the whole thing going on. You got different sides looking at the whole thing. and they still can't get their act together because they can't say it to themselves. What the hell happened? What happened was chaos happened, and everything else went blitzkrieg. Or I prefer something more simpler: geology. Try this one. Now, of course, I could have done it sociology wise, but I'm going to do a geology. I like science better. It's easier to talk about. Earth being a dynamic sphere of molten rock created in the solar system billions of years ago. A lot of evolution on it, a lot of changes, chemical, biological. To the point where you have a hot molten core revolving, forcing the heat of the core to seep through the magma, actually through the mantle, pushing up melted rock at different chemical formations through different cracks or through mounds and stuff, creating volcanism, creating mountains, creating fault lines, causing places for new rock to come out either as a bubbling mass of hot and molten stuff or shooting off like crazy. Basically simple. Some people keep saying that we had a flat Earth society. People look at our planet thinking it's flat. And geology keeps proving I'm wrong, and so does astronomy left to right, not to mention meteorology. Science usually proves them wrong, but they like to continue thinking that the world is flat. But it is round, and it's dynamic, and we got cracks in the earth that moves. It's theorized to be having plate tectonics, and they're proving it to be a fact at this point. We have spreading centers, we have subduction zones, we have fault lines that go up and down, split sideways, reverse-wise. We have ground being overlapped, sinking into the earth, being reformulated, and then pushed back through different cracks as new rock, all on a constant basis. It's a dynamic object. It's a living thing in itself. Something simple I can deal with. I may not like the earthquakes and the mountains shifting like crazy and the ground shifting like crazy, and maybe there's going to be a sinkhole out there going to be sucking me down because of certain chemical reactions in the ground that'll cause cavities. Cavities will cause the form. The top portion of the shell breaks and well, they're gone. And there's a laughing matter. It's no laughing matter on that one. It's a constant thing, but do people talk about it as much? No, because we just take it for granted. Human politics is a different story altogether. Human politics deals with human behavior on a constant basis. We want control. We want to be controlled. We want to have governing parties. We don't want to have somebody else telling us what to do, but we want people telling us what to do. We have laws we make up. We have freedoms we want. However, there are limitations on the damn thing because let's just say, for example, we have laws in the book telling you cannot kill, you cannot commit murder, and yet we're going to kill murdering people anyway. We'll go to another country because of political agendas, maybe for other agendas. Maybe we're going on a resource war. But we're going to be getting something out of the other country, or we're going to be killing people in the process. We can't talk them to death? Well, shoot them to death. Look at the history of humanity. Look at it from the time when we have actual recordings. We actually had wars happening. We got monuments to that. We have artifacts talking about it. We have been a constant battle with ourselves. We had been in constant battle with ourselves. We still are. We don't know what peace is, but we know what satisfying our own damn needs are, so we have to keep knocking each other's asses off and making excuses. We want laws that make sense to only a certain amount of people, and then after that, everybody else can go screw off. Have we ever come across in one particular planet every nation out there coming together in one forum? We may have differences of opinions, but then we try to tell the rest of the planet that with all these collective ideas happening here, is there a possible chance we can actually get some kind of peace going on our planet one way or another? Even though we have to compromise a little bit. Or are we going to be sticking with one particular viewpoint only? Are we dealing with a majority view? We've had monarchies, we've had oligarchies, we had autocracies, we've had autocrats, we've had political parties of all sorts. We still can't get our act together. We've had generations, we've had millenniums, hundreds of thousands of years, maybe at least 100 or 200 of thousands of years, and we still can't get our act together. You think eventually we'll evolve into something better. We hope for it, we pray about it, we talk about it, we write about it, we dream about it, we create stories about it. We just can't get it together. Until we get it together with ourselves, we can't get it together with the neighbors. Until we actually understand ourselves better. That's how it is. That's how I'm seeing it, that's how I'm looking at it, that's how I'm observing it, and that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. It doesn't mean that I'm going to dislike and hate everybody else because of their differences. I got to keep looking at my own damn thing, what's screwing me over left and right, before I can look at somebody else and saying, can I accept that person for who and what they is? Or is there something about them that's driving me nuts? And if there is, I know the issue's with me, not with them. However, if the other person is going to be doing some mean, dastardly things to other people, do I have to be part of that? Do I have to be part of their world? Am I going to rebel against it? I just wish we could get our act together because these days we're certainly screwed up, don't we?